want to talk about balance, and I talk a lot about balance in my yoga classes, and I talk a lot about balance when I talk about Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is really trying to find your unique balance. And I talk about it when I talk about the pelvic floor and that kind of balance between tightness and flexibility and release. But balance, how do we get to that state? And in yoga, when we do a yoga class, and I think that's such a wonderful practice, whether it's through the asana or just the philosophy of yoga, because when we do a yoga class, we do the asana practice, we move, we stretch, we flow, and the body is such a good way to create balance in our whole being. We have access to the body. We can move it, we can stretch it. We can also decide how we eat and how that affects us. But say in yoga, we can move, we can create strength, we can create fire, we can release and move some of that stuck energy or the tension in our physical body. And it makes us feel good. We know that exercise makes us feel better physically, absolutely, but also emotionally, mentally. So through a practice of mindful movement, we start to feel better. So I love yoga, and I think that's kind of why I've been doing yoga for on and off for more than 20 years. And it's just been such a good help, because it's a way that I enjoyed practicing and moving my body, because I never liked sports. I never enjoyed doing any kind of sports, but yoga was the one thing that I really enjoyed. So recently I've taken up calisthenics and do other kind of practices, which has been really helpful for me to create a balance out of just the yoga. So doing kind of a lot of core work, upper body work, handstand practice has been really useful for me, because it, on a physical level, it works on something that I usually didn't really want to work with, and mentally that is the same thing. It's kind of access another layer of what I am, because the body and the mind and our spirit is all connected. So very often after a yoga class, we finally lie down in shavasana and relaxation, and we feel calm, we relax, our breath has changed. So next time you go to a yoga class and you start lying in relaxation pose and meditation, and then if you compare that to after the yoga class, it's probably very different, because in that hour or 75 minutes or an hour and a half, however long you've been practicing, your physical body has been moved, your energetic body has been moved, and your breath has changed, and that affects your mind. So on another level, we notice throughout the practice and at the end of the practice, our breathing has changed. We don't necessarily need to do anything about our breathing, because our body breathes all on its own. We don't need to do anything. But once we start to do our conscious practice of yoga, we release tension and we create space for our bodies to breathe even better. So if we hold tension, if we are tight in our upper body, which a lot of us are, we can't breathe properly. Or we come in from yoga really stressed and been on transport, and we've been running to the bus, and we still think about work situations. Our breath is probably high in the chest. So we don't get the complete exchange of oxygen coming in and carbon dioxide and metabolic waste coming out, because we don't breathe efficiently. When our bodies stretch and move, we release some of that tension. And once we move that tension, we can breathe easier. So we can also just move our breath. We can focus just on the breath. And once we start to relax the breath, maybe our bodies start to move and release. So if you just sit there and you're very tight or stressed, and you go take a deep breath in and just sigh it out, and just do that twice more, breathing in and let it go, And just complete in breath. And out breath. So just breathing. Maybe that tension in the shoulders or the belly starts to release. So through breathing, I'll have a dog coming to say hello. So this is the pleasure of talking outside. We have all the friendly dogs coming around and say hello. So with our breath, we can affect our bodies as well. So we breathe and our body starts to relax. Or we breathe more consciously and we strengthen our bodies, we start to sit differently. And then that affects the mind as well. We breathe nice and calm, our mind starts to become calmer as well. So the other way we can move is through our mind. So we can sit in meditation, or we can just sit quietly, we can gaze at the horizon, or we can just close our eyes, and we can come into that stage of just calming down our mind. And when we start to calm down our mind, our breath will start to slow down. And our breath starts to slow down. We notice where in our bodies we hold tension or where we collapse. And all on our own, our bodies and our mind and our breath will start to balance. So we can get to that stage of calm and balance through our physical practice like asana, yoga practice. We can do it through our breathing practice. We can do it through meditation or mindfulness, awareness, and just sitting still. So notice how you feel, how everything is connected, body, mind, and breath, or spirit even. And just noticing how in your daily life you can, what's your easiest way to access a calm space. Obviously, if you're in the middle of transport, you can't do a yoga practice on the train, on the tube, on the bus, or in your car. But you can take a deep breath in and you can take a deep breath out. Maybe instead of sitting with your phone and getting more anxious, looking at, Facebook or whatever it is, you can close the eyes and you can just focus on your breathing. You can focus on a mantra, an affirmation. And sometimes if we are too stressed in our mind or too anxious or we feel really heavy, then we start to move to change the energy, and that way we can start to access some kind of calmness and balance. So that's what I talk about a lot in yoga. And if you kind of miss it when we are practicing together, or if we're not practicing together, then hopefully you got some out of this rambling. Anyway, I hope you will have a lovely afternoon. Take some long, slow breaths and find a little bit of balance and calm in your day. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye.